whatever you do, do not bring up this conversation immediately after having sex. So what are you trying to tell me? No. What are you trying to say? As a matter of fact, you might realize that you find it easier to talk to your friends about sex than it is to talk to your spouse about it.
Let me introduce you.
Talking about sex when you're married can be a very, very stressful subject, and you might not be sure how to approach it, especially if it's something that's really heavy on your mind. Maybe your spouse isn't satisfying you the way you want. Maybe there's something they're doing that you don't like, or maybe there's something you want them to do during sex that they're not doing and you're not sure how to talk about it. That is the conversation that we're going to be having today, and it's also the part 2 in a 3-part series that I'm doing about sex. So if you haven't seen the first one, then I'll put the link down below in the description box and you can go check it out after seeing this one, okay? And then if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the 3rd part when I upload in a few days, and turn on the notification bell so that once I upload it, you will be notified, okay? So I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things or 10 tips that will help you have better communication with your husband or your wife about sex. Number 1, approach it very slowly, okay? Like I mentioned earlier, sex is very sensitive to talk about generally as a topic, and the society we are in does not even encourage talking about it openly. Not to now talk of being able to talk about it with your partner, with your spouse. As a matter of fact, you might realize that you find it easier to talk to your friends about sex than it is to talk to your spouse about it. So because of that, you want to approach it slowly. It's not something you just want to drop, bam. You can take it from, oh, I had such a wonderful time last night. When you did this, I enjoyed it. Compliment your spouse. Warm them up to the idea of having the conversation, okay, so that they don't just lock up on you. Number 2, in talking about sex with your spouse, you don't want to talk about their lack of skill, if any, or inadequate skill, if any. You don't even want to bring that up. You don't want it to be at the top of the conversation, and you don't want to approach it as a massive weakness for them, because guess what? They most probably already know that that is an area in which they are struggling and they're just shy to talk about it. So in you talking about it, you don't want to emphasize the weakness or this lack of skill and make it bigger than life. You want to be gentle about it. And in talking about it, let them know it's something you can both work on and that you can learn about together. Don't just talk about the lack of skill, provide a solution. So make it appear as if it's about both of you and not just you alone. Number 3, you want to emphasize intimacy between both of you and how your sexual experience as a couple brings you both together. So you want to emphasize it from a good way, like, oh, I love it when you do this, I love it when you do this, I love when we do this, it brings us together. Number 4, so if there are certain things you like that your spouse isn't doing, then you want to gently introduce it by already complimenting what they do that you like. So you can now say, and oh, by the way, if you do this, and this, I would also love it. You can do this, and this a lot more. I would like those too. And if the situation is such that there is something they're doing that you don't like, then also likewise, compliment them. Do you understand? Oh, I love it when you do this. I love it when you do this. But I don't really enjoy this so much. Do you like it? And they might end up saying, no, I just thought you liked it. No, I don't really like it. You can stop doing it. So in talking about it gently, you might even realize that they were only doing those things just because they were trying to please you, not because it was something they particularly enjoyed. Number 5, you don't want to start buying books or buying sex toys or talking to your friends about your sexual experience with your spouse. The books and toys parts and other things that can help your sexual life, talk to your spouse about it first before doing those things. Don't let them just walk into the room and they suddenly see a book on the table, like, so what are you trying to tell me? No, what are you trying to say? Or maybe they're working on you having a conversation with your friend about how they are bad at this, or they are not doing this well, or you are not sexually satisfied. That would be horrible. So you don't want to do that. I don't anticipate that the response to that will be very pleasant. So you don't want to do that at all. If you're going to, maybe even see a sex therapist or buy books or use toys or whatever, you first want to have a conversation with your spouse about it. Number 6, I mentioned this in my previous video, that sex is a two-way street. Okay, it's not just about you. It's also about your partner. So likewise, you want to ask them how they feel about your sexual experience. Ask them how satisfied they are. Oh, are you happy with the way I do this? Are you happy with the way I do that? Is there something you would like me to do? I really want to know, because it is my job to make you happy and make you feel satisfied. You want to also make the conversation about them. In fact, you can start up the conversation that way, making it about them before making it about you. So that way, they are already comfortable and they've eased up into the conversation, and then you can now talk about you. Number 7, whatever you do, do not bring up this conversation immediately after having sex. Okay? After having sex is the time you're supposed to chill, go do whatever you're supposed to do, sleep, cuddle, whatever. That is not the time to now say, hey, by the way, when you were doing this the other time, what was that you were doing? You don't want to make the conversation like that. So whatever you do, do not bring the conversation up immediately after sex. Let it be later, maybe when you're relaxing, you're having drinks, you're watching TV. A very, very casual, calm and relaxed setting is what will be best for the conversation. Number 8, even if you are the one that do end up bringing up the conversation, you should be ready to listen and you should be ready to compromise. Like I mentioned earlier, your spouse might have things they want you to stop doing, or things they want you to do or try, or maybe experiment with, or whatever. So in bringing up that conversation, you have to be ready to listen to them as well. Don't just talk and go. Do you understand? Allow your partner to have a say. Allow them to express themselves. Allow them to talk, listen, and then be ready to make compromises. You might end up not liking a few things that they will suggest, but that is what marriage is all about, being able to meet each other halfway. So if you cannot do something, compliment them with something else. If you cannot do A, tell them you can do B. If you cannot do C, tell them you can do D. Or say, you know what, I don't really like doing A, but I'll do A every now and then, but it won't be a regular thing. Listen, be ready to compromise, and then take actions on whatever you both talk about. Number 9, it's very easy to get carried away in having that kind of conversation, especially maybe if your spouse isn't responding the way you want or the way you anticipated. But whatever you do, do not become judgmental. Okay, do not become exasperated about the whole thing. You want to remain gentle. You want to remain calm. Don't become judgmental. Don't raise your voice. Don't let it turn into a shouting match. If you bring up the subject and it looks like, or it seems like your spouse isn't responding well to it, then squash it. Let it go. Leave it alone. Talk about it at a later point. Don't push it. Number 10, talk often, talk slowly. If there are so many things you need to talk about, it's fine. Don't go and carry marker and cardboard and list everything and turn it into a lecture. No, pick it one by one and talk often. The more you talk about it, the easier it becomes, the more casual you can approach it, the more comfortable both of you become in having that conversation, and the more you'll be able to talk about the supposed bigger issues. Make sure you're gentle and you don't come across as sex obsessed or just unsatisfied, or don't make it seem as if you're not happy in your marriage and all of that. Choose your words wisely, because once you say them, you can't take them back. Like I always say, I like to learn from you guys as well, from you, because I know I'm still learning. As I'm talking to you about these things, I'm also talking to myself and learning again myself. So please, if there are other tips that have helped your marriages or your relationships in talking about sex, then please, I want to know. Make sure to tell me down below in the comment section, which of these tips are you really excited about? Are you going to implement, or do you struggle with? Let's go ahead and talk about them down below in the comment section. Remember, like I said, this is only part 2 of the 3-part series I'm doing about sex. The link to the part 1 is down below in the description box. Go check it out if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel if you aren't subscribed. Turn on the notification bell so that when I upload the 3rd part, you would definitely know about it, and then you'll be able to watch. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to see you again very, very soon. Remain in God. God bless you. God bless your marriages, your homes, and your relationships. Mwah. Bye.